Test 1, 2. We'll do it sharp, okay? Because everyone's time is very precious, so I don't want to delay it. Oh, sure, welcome. Please have a seat. Yeah. Sometimes walk around the booth, is find a place to sit down for a couple of minutes. It's not a bad thing. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jackie Chang, not the movie star. I always say he's my brother. I'm the vice president for the Delta Electronics in the Southeast Asia and the Indian region. And first of all, very warm welcome for all of you to visit our booth and to hear from what I'm talking about, the power talk on the smart city. I think it's the content what we coverage here. First, we look on from the mega trend point of view and what is happening, what is the impacting our daily life. And then we're also talking about the solutions and the new technologies, what we might be able to bring into the smart city area. Then the third one, we're talking about what is the Delta regional presence and what sort of the things we already have some showcase for your reference. And I think the first thing is from the overall the rapid changes of the market and also the demography shift and also all these sort of the changes on the climate and also technology adaptations. There's also impacting to the sustainable cities and what we so-called buildings, connectivities, e-commerce, and all these sort of things. So energy infrastructure become also very important because it's every day we need to have the things to work on. Of course, the regional shift on the manufacturing side of it is also part of the what we so-called smart cities. You want to have more customized things and to locally fit to your customer requirements. So it's also give you the much faster on the what we so-called urbanization development as well. Quickly look into the market on the building itself. Actually, it's quite big portions, and in terms of the changes and the evolutions, more and more people get into the city side of it, and they want to make sure they have much more opportunities and also different comfortable livings of their life. So by 2050, we're talking about 75% building will be occupied, and that has already been built up. And another thing is I think is air pollution. If you stay in Singapore, probably you will sense that every year. From time to time, the air from somewhere of the Southeast Asia coming into Singapore, and sometimes the Singapore government need to pay them some money, say stop, don't do that sort of things. Even a country like Thailand, they never experienced that sort of the air pollution before, but it happened for end of last year as what we so-called first time they heard about PM 2.5, this sort of the things. So more and more this sort of the healthier environments and also pollution is really bringing us that sort of concern when you really living in the city point of view. Yes, IoT is coming, and then I believe nowadays we were talking about a joke. If you one day you say you go out, don't bring your mobile phone, you probably say feeling very uncomfortable on the whole day because you're thinking someone might text you or send you something, or maybe you couldn't pay your bill even eventually. So IoT connectivities in your household, in the city, and then in the future what we so-called about 5G rollout, it definitely change and impact to your life very much in that sort of sense. So in overall, I think we are now living in very much connected world, and this is also one of the what we so-called mega trend in that sense. So what kind of the IoT devices and growth in the market? And I think that you could see from the biggest one talking about the smart homes, and then following by the personal IoTs, etc., including the smart city, industrial IoTs. And there's one thing is the connected cars, or what we so-called autonomous drivings. And this is the things which is also very much important. We're changing our life a lot. But couldn't be done without the 5G in that sort of sense, because they have very small latencies in between and much faster than the current 4G we are talking about. So the deployment of the 5G, I think in Singapore government, they also prepare a testbed area to make sure that sort of experiments will be done quickly, and then you could deploy a lot of things. I think this is really changing our life. In the future, you don't need to have a driver. You don't need to drive the car yourself. The car will drive automatically there. You just tell the car where do you want to go, then it take you there. Okay. So traffic jam become very little because every car they keep their own distance. Accident will be very little as well. So pay attention to this sort of connected car. This is one of the big changes for our life in the smart city future. And then look into the growth drivers. I think a lot of governments, officials, they are taking the initiative to make sure the changes will be happening. And you could see from the information, no matter on the manufacturing side of that, from the ASEANs, every country is talking about either Industrial 4.0, you're talking about the different manufacturing in their specific countries. This is also important. And ICT infrastructure, talking about the data centers and the connectivity, telecom infrastructure, 5G and these sort of things, cloud. This is also very important to our next generations as well. Transportation infrastructure is also a lot of a government initiative talking about that. So you could talk about the EV cars, e-mobilities, and EV car charging infrastructures. Without these sort of things is in place or push or incentive from the government, it will not boost and make it quicker. Then energy infrastructure as well, and then no doubt about the buildings. Smart city project happening here, there, everywhere. And in Singapore, it's a smart nations. And then in Thailand, they already have established maybe 7 cities, then later on expand to 25 smart city, a lot of different projects. So all these things is what we're talking about. Smart city become very important area for us to gather in together to make sure the activities, daily life and things will be put in place. However, there's also something we need to really consider about, because every city we talk about smart city, they have their own different purpose. For example, if you're talking about taking example for Thailand as an example, their smart city, they have one city to name first, Phuket. And you say, oh, Phuket is a tourist location. Everybody like to go to the Phuket Island, have a tourist, a very lovely beach and very good, very local. So what kind of things to do with smart city there? Okay? And then you think about that, let's say, okay, for the tourist, the safety is very important. Huh? If you as a tourist, you go to that place, go to that city, your first thing concern is your safety. So, and then there's a lot of people going there, spending a lot of money, and they're eating there. There's a wastage, and there's a food and beverage, and these sort of things. How do you gonna to manage and dispose about that? So for the Phuket Island as a smart city, they have a different thought. Not what we just thinking, oh, smart city, it has to be everything combined. Every different city, council, and government, they have their own agenda, priority as a first and second. So we also need to consider about that. But here what we're more talking about from every individual point of view, what's the smart city you think is more important to us? Of course, safety is still one of the key things. So how do you make sure you stay in the city, you feel secure, and you don't need to worry about it. You could go out at night time, you don't feel there's a risk for you. And then what's next? Connectivities. If you go to a city and the smart city, most of people say, oh, I have my mobile phone, but I couldn't connect to the internet or to the telecommunications, and you start to feel panic. What happens if I want to connect with my family, FaceTime or Line or Skype or whatever things? So connectivity also important. How do you build it up? How is the function of that part of it? And quality of life. Okay, you go to a place that's everywhere, it looks very dirty and it's not that clean, then you have a lot of pollutions in that sort of the environments. How do you make sure these sort of the things could be managed and to be controlled? And we're talking about this part of it, maybe more related to what we so-called the e-mobilities, the EV cars, and to make sure the area of the air pollution could be reduced to make our life better. And then of course, productivity. Okay, in the city concept, how do we make sure we could have more output in the big short time frame and to improve your productivities and make sure the output, the quality, everything is in the good way and that you could fulfill your demand. And of course, we're talking about the power. Without the electricity, without the power, everything is no use. So you couldn't deliver the information, you couldn't connect the infrastructure and the energy. You are worried about, oh, maybe they will have a power cut in the coming day or two. That would be also difficult. So thinking about all this is in the smart city side of it, and Delta actually have quite a lot of examples and reference we already done in the various Asian countries, ASEAN regions and developments. So we have that what we so-called smart pole here. It consists of the LED lightings and also CCTV surveillance cameras, temperature sensing, and or even the display board and with your EV charging. So only on one simple smart pole, you could do a lot of things with that, and then you could get a lot of information. They are all IoT and connected in that sense. You could control dimming the light and by yourself. And actually, we're doing quite some activity also in Jakarta previously. And then talking about the connectivities, of course, from the Delta side of it, later on you could boost browsing around our booth, and basically the connectivity side of it is more or less we're talking about the data center. The data center side of it, traditionally we're talking about is that sort of cloud, big data center, traditional data center. But nowadays, because the speed is increasingly more, you want to access your data much faster. So edge computing, edge data center is also very important. And from the data center point of view, they are having a lot of requirements. They want to build up much faster. So the construction time to make sure they reduce their data center construction is also one of the key things because time is money. So Delta has also have that sort of the prefabricated data center, containerized the data center, or even for what we so-called the powertrain, could offer and support for that sort of the quick setup on the data center in the customer bases. So some of the example like we do for the submarines, that sort of the project in Myanmar. So it's not only in certain countries, but we are much more spread out in all ASEAN countries as well. So you could have whatever you want predefined, and then it's just truck and deliver over there. So data center solution is one of the key things for us to have the connectivities as well. And then we're talking about the quality life. Building is very important since nowadays, every day, look at in the ITAP, you are in this building for most of the time. And then after you left this one, you get into your hotel or your home. It's also the building. So building itself is very much connected to you on a daily basis. And then how do you make sure it's comfortable, convenient for you? And how do you make sure the information, data will be collected? And of course, when you walk into the door and the face recognitions you could have and the building control, the energy management, everything will be properly organized. You walk into your room, the lights on. Okay, you could talk to Siri and to have everything power up. So all these sort of the different things, and of course not only for the normal household, it's also for the commercial industrial building as well. And Delta have a variable solution from the device level. You can see on the right hand side or your left hand side here, we have all the building control your lighting, control your curtain, control your room temperature, control the different hazardous material sensing, and from the device to control to management and to the cloud level. Delta have all the solution for it. Okay, and even that sort of the fish eyes you see in here is also the things is it could give you much broader view in this sort of the commercial or industrial building environments. And this controller, what we're talking about, it could be an open source protocol. It could connect it to whatever devices you are currently have. And I think Delta is one of the company having very little company having this sort of IoT open protocol building management system. And Delta is one of it in this sense. And of course, the indoor quality, the air quality. We want to make sure the bad air is not coming into the room as well. So we have that sort of indoor air quality solutions to make sure whatever the bad smell or hazardous things is, it will be filtering people coming to your house, people to your buildings. And this is very important, especially a lot of pollution outside. Of course, we also need to try to solve the external side of the issues. So in principle, building side of it, make sure the building is green, the ventilations, the energy saving, the material recycling, and of course it's also what we're talking about, the healthy and the comfort is also important. So the intelligence on your fingertips, on your apps, on your mobile phone, it should be also available for you on your command. And then talking about externally on the reduction on the air pollutions, I think car is also one of the key things. So EV cars, EV infrastructure is one of the key things to driving it in that sort of the direction. And Delta has been well developed in this area in the ASEAN country. Taking example, we are also working with the Singapore SP and the different government associations to further deploy the AEV infrastructure to help in the initiative from the government. And then in Indonesia, in Thailand, we are also co-work with the Nissan, Mitsubishi, and then wherever the car they are selling, they're equipped with our EV charging to the end user. So you don't need to worry about the charging infrastructure, and they are also building the infrastructure across the major city, and we are deploying and helping them at this moment. And then one example, we are just get the Frost & Sullivan Award as the best EV charging car company in Thailand, 2019. Thank you. So that's what we're talking about, the quality life. But Delta, we're doing more than that because our key strength is on the power electronics side of it. So actually, we are the company manufacturing the electrical vehicles key component inside the EV cars. So we've been cooperating with majority EV car companies. You name it. I don't want to quote the name, otherwise I might get suspicious about the conflict of interest of the putting the name. But all the major car makers, their next generation EV car, you could see Delta product inside. Okay, this is one thing we are very proud of. And then this is the product manufacturing in Thailand, in the ASEAN country as well, not only in China. Okay, so there's a difference about that. Okay. And talking about the Industrial 4.0, Delta have been working on the Industrial 4.0. And what is the strength for Delta to do that? We have a lot of manufacturing site, and we are having the same issue facing like you guys have. So we turn our pain point into the experience and leverage. Now we think that we could contribute and helping the society, helping our customers, helping our partners as well. So on the Industrial 4.0, we're not talking about the sky-high target or cost which you couldn't reach. That is not what we are talking about. That's not what we want. So that's why we will sign the MOU with JTC this afternoon, and we probably is one of the Asian company on the stage with some of the European company on the stage helping Singapore small medium enterprise on the Industrial 4.0. We want to build up the practical, workable experience and the role models for the small medium enterprise. So you are not just thinking, do I really need to spend that much money? I'm telling you, Delta going to offer the affordable cost. Okay, affordable, different, varies from the company to company. If you have money to spend more than 10 million, of course we could do that for you. If you only have the money to spend 100,000, we could also work out for you. Depends which really is your pain point. Okay. Of course, I will not ask you to throw your machine away to buy the new one, then to fulfill the Industrial 4.0. I think that's too much, and it's outrageous. Will not be acceptable by the small medium enterprise, the owner. And then talking about the power side of it, the energy management, and I think it's the renewable energy is getting more. Maybe not that much in Singapore, I have to say, okay, because the land space is not very precious and very expensive in Singapore. But I think it's because of the the power and the renewable energies become the trend on the Asian countries. So how do you store it? How do you manage that? How do you make sure the grid balancing and to feed back to the grid? This is also one of the key tasks and subject. And Delta has been working together with Mitsubishi Heavy Industrial. We are providing that sort of the power type of the battery, which could give you the power in the very short time, 6 times of your capacity you build in. So that means is when you really building on the data center for the critical project, you could put that in, and then it could provide you the much more power than you want, but occupy less spaces. And that's very important part of it. Of course, we have our own power conversion system to really convert the power from the renewable energy to the grid, and then help you to balance on the grid as well. So these are the projects which we are currently working on, and in Thailand also talking in the Singapore institutions from that part of it. So overall, I think that this is the introduction about the smart city. Maybe it's very general, but I think as a smart city is coming in, and we are also very much involved on our daily basis for that. And then I think Delta, from our side of it, we have a lot of things that's available. The beauty of the Delta is actually we are not buying a lot of things outside. Majority of what you see solution, what we have is in-house design and manufacture. And then we build up the system solution platform to help our customer. So you don't need to walking around finding a lot of players, try to fit into what you think. But Delta, we are here. We can help you to survey or on-site audit or customize for your needs. So we could be your smart city partner. So any questions, feel free to talk to us. And we have a lot of product demonstrating here. And I hope you will enjoy our visit. Thank you. Any questions? Just in case. Okay, if no, thank you for your coming. And I hope you enjoyed it.